Everyone knows how the Roman Empire ended. Barbarians at the gates, emperors overthrown, and a civilization lost to time. But what if I told you Rome didn't collapse in a single dramatic moment? What if its end began quietly, rotting from within, while the world still saw it as invincible? The Roman Empire, at its height, was a symbol of unmatched power. Its legions conquered continents, its culture shaped civilizations, and its wealth flowed like a river of gold. But under the surface, something sinister was growing. Behind the marble columns and imperial decrees, a slow creeping decay had begun. Today we go back, not to the fall of Rome, but to its unraveling. To the moment where cracks formed in the foundation. The beginning of the end. Hi friends, welcome back to our channel, where history comes alive through untold stories, shocking truths, and epic unravelings that shape the world we live in. If you love history that challenges what you thought you knew, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because today's story is one you'll be thinking about long after the video ends. Let's journey back to ancient Rome, not to witness its fall, but to understand its first fatal wound. The Roman Empire didn't fall when Rome was sacked. It began to die when its leaders forgot what it meant to be Roman. Let's go back to 180 AD, the death of Emperor Marcus Aurelius, often considered the last true philosopher-king. His rule represented the final glow of Rome's golden age, a time when wise emperors governed with a sense of civic duty, justice, and philosophical reflection. But that light dimmed fast. Marcus Aurelius made one fatal mistake, passing power to his son, Commodus, a man who lacked wisdom, restraint, or interest in governance. Commodus viewed Rome not as a sacred responsibility, but as his personal playground. He preferred the arena over the Senate, fame over philosophy. He declared himself a living god and styled himself after Hercules. Instead of inspiring discipline or virtue, he ruled with delusion, paranoia, and cruelty. The Senate became his enemy. The imperial court became a nest of sycophants and schemers. Assassinations became frequent. Rome was no longer led by statesmen. It was ruled by the shadows of power behind the throne. The empire had taken a dark turn, and nobody noticed, yet. Commodus's assassination in 192 AD sparked what would later be called the Year of the Five Emperors. In 1 year, 5 men claimed the throne, each through force, deceit, or murder. What followed was chaos. Generals turned on each other. Provinces rebelled. The empire's loyalty splintered. The idea of imperial legitimacy, once a sacred tradition, became something you could seize at sword point. Power was no longer earned. It was bought, stolen, betrayed for. The Praetorian Guard, Rome's elite bodyguards, literally auctioned off the emperorship to the highest bidder. The result? A domino effect of instability that would echo for centuries. Rome was no longer one unified empire. It was a chessboard of ambition, civil war, and distrust. Meanwhile, while emperors played war games, the frontiers were left vulnerable. As Rome fought itself, the economy quietly began to collapse. Military expansion had drained the empire's coffers. Emperors, desperate to pay their soldiers and bribe political allies, began to debase the currency, mixing less and less silver into coins. Inflation soared. Prices skyrocketed. Trust in Roman money collapsed. Meanwhile, the rich grew richer, hoarding land and resources, while the poor spiraled into debt and starvation. Farmers abandoned their fields. Food shortages became common. The once thriving Roman trade routes spanning from Britain to Egypt began to falter. And with the economy in crisis, the government did what every desperate regime does. It taxed the people harder, but there was nothing left to give. The burden became unbearable. People fled the cities. Others sold themselves into servitude. And the Roman dream, the idea of citizenship, prosperity, and unity, began to fade into disillusionment. As if internal rot wasn't enough, nature delivered another blow. In the mid-3rd century, a devastating pandemic, the plague of Cyprian, swept across the empire. Historians estimate it killed 5,000 people per day in Rome alone. Entire legions were wiped out. Cities became ghost towns. The workforce vanished. The army shrank. The empire could no longer maintain its borders, let alone its internal order. This was more than a health crisis. It was a psychological rupture. Citizens believed the gods had abandoned Rome. Panic spread faster than the disease. And into that vacuum of fear stepped new enemies. While Rome crumbled from within, enemies waited at the gates. The Germanic tribes, once scattered and disorganized, had grown stronger, more coordinated. The Sassanid Empire in the east became a formidable threat. And Rome's once dominant military was too stretched, too underfunded, and too demoralized to resist for long. Revolts erupted in provinces. Bandits raided the countryside. In Britain, Gaul, and Hispania, local leaders began acting like kings, ignoring the authority of Rome. To regain control, Emperor Diocletian split the empire into east and west, creating two administrative halves. It was meant to save Rome. But in reality, it signaled that unity was no longer possible. So when did the Roman Empire truly begin to fall? Was it with the sack of Rome in 410 AD? The deposition of Romulus Augustulus in 476? Or was it far earlier, with a self-obsessed emperor, a broken economy, and a forgotten sense of identity? Rome didn't fall overnight. It eroded. From within. Its laws meant less. Its money held no value. Its people stopped believing in the idea of Rome. And that is how the world's greatest empire began to die. Not with fire, but with neglect. What about today? Are we too watching an empire slowly unravel? Let us know in the comments. What do you think was the true beginning of Rome's fall? And if this episode made you see history in a new light, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. In the next episode, we'll reveal the top 5 decisions that doomed Rome, from military blunders to shocking betrayals. Until then, remember, a great civilization is not conquered from without until it has destroyed itself from within. Will Durant,